To the guys of the web, am I audible? Yeah. Over here. Okay. So yesterday we have looked at 4 simple commands, right? What were they? Run, start, stop. What was the other thing? Pardon me? RM. Okay. Yeah. And also Docker exec to execute some commands, and we were trying to execute some commands as well as we have tried to get into the interactive terminal of it. Okay. And we have also done port forwarding. Yeah. So basically what I would try to do today is, okay, I am running an application in container, and can I guarantee that it would work forever? జీవిత కాలం సుఖ సంతోషాలతో కంటైనర్ నడుస్తుందా, ఇది నా క్వశ్చన్. It will not, right? So we should be prepared for the worst. And whenever, what is the best way to prepare for the worst? Take periodic backups. Okay. So for the container there might be some important areas which are required. For example, if you are working on a database, there might be some folder location which is required where the database is actually storing the data. And similarly, whenever you are running some applications, there will be some folders where actually data will be stored in that container. So we want that to be shown in our system, shown in the physical host, so that even if the machine goes wrong, then we can basically use it. And from the once it reaches to our physical machine, we can move it to NFS driver, we can move it to S3, we can move it to all sorts of backups. Okay. So the first thing which I want to try out today is, if there is some data in the Docker, how can I see it? Okay. Or how can I basically copy some data from the container to the machine where I am running? Okay. And later on, there are various ways. There are plugins also now. In Docker Enterprise Edition, there are plugins of NetApp, Isolon, all of that, so that you can directly mount those locations onto it. I'm not getting into it because they are commercial plugins. Okay. But the whole idea is, what is that we want to do today? So let us assume that I will write, I'll try to use this container. Okay. HTTPD. Okay. And in this container, if you know, the home page will be stored at where? That's it, right? Yeah. So this is a folder which I want to take backup of, because even if tomorrow application goes for a toss, I would be launching the other container and exactly copying whatever the contents of this container were, so that I can get other container which actually does the same thing. Similarly, tomorrow if you are launching some application which is like Jenkins, okay, Jenkins will have something called as Jenkins home directory. For every application, there might be some one or more folders which are required for you to basically bring up the similar application. Avuna? Yes. Okay. Similarly, if I am speaking about a Tomcat application, I need to retain the WAR files, or probably if I need to retain the log files, whatever it is. Okay. So for all of these reasons, we need to basically get out some way so that the folders in the container are shown on the physical system. Okay. Exactly, this is a point where the concept of volumes will be introduced. I'm saying introduced, there is a hell lot more. Okay. Our first phase is how do we use it. Next phase is how we create it. So while we creating, we'll be diving one level deeper, but for now I'm just giving you a usage guideline. Okay. రేపు పొద్దున మన వాల్యూమ్స్ డాకర్ క్రియేట్ అయినప్పుడే మౌంట్ అయిపోవాలనుకో. So then how do you do that? That's all the secondary stuff. Okay. So are we good? Yes. Did we understood the reason what we are trying to do now? So I want some folder in the container to be copied into my, yes. So for that I'm going to use a concept called as volume. Okay. So I'll be using the mechanism much like port forwarding. Okay. So yesterday when I write in this statement, so docker run -p 80:80. This port is of which machine? the machine where Docker has been installed. And what is this now? Containers port. Okay. So I'm going to use the same strategy again, but this time I'm going to use a command line option which is called as -v, where V stands for volume. Make sense? Yeah, fine. So let me see if there are any doubts over the web. Audio has lost. Audio, is it lost to others? Yeah, yeah. Okay, fine. Okay then. So let us just go into the machine where we had where we have created Docker yesterday. So okay. So this was our machine, right? Yeah. Let me start this back. Port forwarding concept once again. Yeah, I'll do it after volume then. Once again, I'll try to tell you what is the port forwarding concept. Fine. Yeah. You are not able to get the UI page. Probably your ports were closed. That could be the reason, but yeah, let me try to reiterate on that. Okay, so let me connect to this. Okay, there is nothing running. Fine. So Docker run -p 80:80. Okay, httpd, and I want to run this container in the background. Yeah, make sense? I have not launched any volume. Okay, fine. Now I'll do Docker ps, copy this, and then say Docker exec, get me into the terminal. Okay, of this container, and I want to get into the terminal which is located at. Okay, am I over here? Yes. Now I want to look in what are the different folders that are present over here. So for that, these are the different file systems that are present over there. Yes. Okay, so now I want to add something over here. Now I want to add something over here. So let us see what can I do. Okay, so these are the file systems which we have, and now once we add volume, let us see what happens. So I'm not killing this container. Okay, but let me do this. Docker run. I'll be using the same command -p. Okay, let me use 8080 now because there is already one container which is running on 80. I can't use the 80 of the same host machine. So 80:80 80 -v uh, home/ubuntu colon uh, let me create something like, what is the temp folders location? /tmp, right? Yeah. Okay, what is that I missed? Images name. Okay, httpd. It says it has run. Okay, now I want to get inside this container. So Docker ps, I'll copy this, docker exec -it, the container id /bin/. Okay, now let me execute the same command. Df, are you seeing anything called as temp? Yes. Okay, in temp let me do something. Okay, cd/tmp, make dir test. I created a folder called as test. I've came out of this container. Okay, let me see what is my present working, present working directory, home/ubuntu. Are you seeing a folder called as test? Okay, now cp get docker.sh into test/. Okay, fine. Yeah, now shall I get into the container again? So now if I see, like, let me install sudo apt-get install. So just for us to have an overview of what is the folder structure looking like. Okay, so this is my folder structure. So I have a get docker.sh, and then I have a test folder, and in the test folder I have again the get docker.sh. So let me execute the container. If I'm not wrong, this is what it is. So cd temp, I'll using get docker. Okay, so let me do ls, are using get docker.sh. So what is that I can do now? I can basically find out what is an important folder for my application, and I can mount it onto my physical machine's file system. I could have mounted user local Apache 2 also, but I didn't want to do that because there might be some important files over there. But the whole point is, if you have one container, you can take any directory of that container and mount it onto your physical system. Or if I am saying physical system, it is a host where you have installed Docker. So now what is an advantage of it? You can argue me what is an advantage of it. Okay, so let me show you that advantage. I'm launching a new container. Yes. Now what are two containers reading the data from? /home/ubuntu. Yeah. So shall I get into this container? So by the way, whenever you do in a detached mode, whatever you get is a container ID. So docker exec it, paste the whole container ID /bin/bash. This is a new container. I get into the temp folder directly. ICLS. So is this somehow acting as a NAS kind of a storage system? Two or more systems trying to read the data from the same folder, they get the same content. Okay, now what is an advantage of this? What is an actual advantage of it? So for example, what will be your home page? Where will be your home page in this? Var, don't we have var over here? I think here they have changed with respect to the locations. Okay, fine. Let me try to do another container. Whenever I'm building this container, I'll try to show you. So let us assume that the home page of this is in a folder called as var www.index.html. Make sense? Okay, and that folder is from my local system. Okay, now if I have to update my home page, how many places I have to do? If you have not created a volume, you have to get into every container and then make the change. But if my change is mapped as a volume, I change at one place and all the containers automatically reload the page. Yes or no? So is it not an advantage? That's the whole concept. That's the whole advantage of your SAN or a NAS systems, right? So you would have data at one place, and then basically you are dealing with multiple guys trying to read from the same source that you can simulate. Here I'm trying to tell it is simulate. It is not a NAS. Okay. Basically, what is happening is it is trying to create something called as mount. Okay. Even though it is a file system from a remote system, it will behave as if it is its own file system. Okay. NAS laga mount avadu. Local machine lage mount avadu. So for example, if you have taken a Linux machine and now if you have put some external hard disk to it, okay, so the way it works exactly the same way is happening right now. Okay, so for the people in AWS, you might be quite familiar with this approach. We have seen storage accounts or EBSs quite recently. Okay, and for the people who are new to this, okay, if you put the pen drive into a Ubuntu and see the file system, what happens? Pardon me? That is a device, right? Yes, and that device has to be in the file system which Linux understands. Okay, now we have a file system which Linux already understands, and the device is your physical machine's hard disk. So you're trying to mount onto it. So that's why even if you see the name, when you do df minus h, so what is the name which you are getting on the device? What is that? That is the hard disk of your physical machine. To be very specific, XVDA is a mount name that is being given to a hard disk of your physical machine. Exactly the same name is being appeared over here. That's the whole point. So basically, you can take any system, any file system from your local machine and make it available to container. Okay, and the concept which makes it happen is volume. Okay, so if you want a Docker container to use your port, you are using port forwarding. Similarly, if you want a Docker container to use your volume, you are using something called as volume mapping. You are using something called as volume mapping. Okay, now someone had asked me about the port forwarding. Okay, so what is the port forwarding? So let us assume that I can create multiple Apache containers in the same physical machine. Do you agree to that statement? Yes. How will it happen without conflicts? No. How will forget about ports is a secondary thing. But how are multiple Apache servers running on the same physical machine? How is it happening? Container. What is a container? Isolated user space, because every application in the container is getting its own user space, its own virtual hard disk, its own process tree, everything it is getting. So each Apache is not conflicting with other Apache. But when an external user tries to access it, he has to access it via some port. But the problem is in the containers, the ports which you are having are virtual ports. They are ports of your container. External world cannot access to it. Okay, so for that you have to go via your host, that is your machine where you have installed Docker, using that ports. So that's where we have to map. I have to say that okay, in container my application is running on 8080, let me map it to some port of my machine. Okay, that configuration I would create by saying docker run -p. Okay, this is your host port colon container port, right? Yeah, now what is that I'm trying to tell, that if someone goes onto the host port, indirectly there is a virtual loopback kind of a connection that is being created between these two. So if you are connecting on a host port, you are intermediately going and hitting the container port. Okay, this is available in virtual machines also. This is available in virtual machines also. So for example, if you create a server and in that server if you install 10 virtual machines, how will those 10 virtual machines applications be accessible to the external world? Because you have only one machine's ports. Okay, the concept is this mapping or port forwarding. That's the whole approach. Are we good now? So do we understand volumes now? Yes. Okay, so let me see what are the other questions which I have. Can you please record the session? Maybe networking is having issues. Okay, you're not worrying about the class. Okay, fine. I think networking, is it having issues over here? I don't think so. So it would create problems if my network is having issues. So I'm not seeing any network issues over here at least. Yeah. Okay. Can you explain it graphically? Wonderful. Yeah. So if you have problems at your network, the recording will not be stopped, but because that is a connection between me and the GoToMeeting stuff. Okay. So quickly I'll try to do it because I think most of you understood this concept. Okay. So this is my machine. Okay. And in this machine, what I have done, I have installed Docker, right? So this could be whatever machine which you have chosen. Okay. So I'm as of now I'm calling it as AWS EC2 machine because that is my setup right now. Okay. So in this, I have created a container using Docker run. Okay. But in this machine, there is some folder, okay, which might be important because tomorrow if this container is killed or crashed due to some reason, I don't want data to be lost, whatever that container has done. So whatever data that has been generating in this application, I want it on my physical machine. So what is an approach? I use something called as volume mapping. So basically what I do is I take some folder over here, and I basically map it to some folder on my AWS EC2 or the machine where you have installed Docker. The best part of it is tomorrow I can create one more container, and to that I can give again the same thing. So now I have basically two containers which exactly have the same data. Okay. This is a volume mapping concept. So for that rectangles which you are seeing, you can create any directory structure. You can say it as temp like what I have done, or you can say Jenkins home, you can say var html, or you can tell any directory, any important directory. And it is not required, it is not mandatory for you to just have one volume mapping. You can have two or three also. So you can write one more v statement, one more minus v, and create one more mapping. So if you think that your application has two important folders, one for logs and another one for data, so write one more v. Say that where logs should be mount to home ubuntu slash logs. Done. Something like that. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Consistently breaking voice. Man. Geo వాడుతున్నారా? Okay. Fine. Now we have looked into the commands, but actually let me tell you the right way of looking into the commands. So we know about Docker run, Docker start, and Docker stop, right? Yeah. Let me show you the real Docker runs. Okay. Docker. Are you seeing the options? Keyboard లోనే ఇంత టైం పడుతుంటే you have these many options. Okay, and this list is growing with every release. Okay, so I'll not be able to try everything with respect to this command line options, but I will touch you on some important stuff. Okay, so the CPU count is basically a new stuff. It was not there, and basically it is on Windows only. Okay, so but the whole important stuff over here is this is a very frequently asked what do you say interviewed kind of a question. So if I have to set some memory to my container, how will I set? Docker run hyphen memory, give whatever data which you want to give over there, and then that would be set. If you want to set the reservation or a soft limit, saying that what is the difference between memory and memory reservation? Memory will consume it. Memory reservation is a soft limit, so it will grow to that point. Okay, you might say 2 GB, but it will not be using 2 GB, but when it requires, it might go to till 2 GB. That's the whole point. Okay, you have many stuffs around here. Okay, many things. Okay, I might not be able to get into every command and explain you what this is. Okay, so please always go through this. Okay, and Basically the only thing which you can increase is swap memory. So if you don't know what a swap memory is, wait till you know Linux. Okay. So for the people who are using Windows also, I'm quite sure that you might have seen some option in Windows 7. When you connect your pen drive, it would try to tell that do you want to increase the speed of your machine using this pen drive. Okay. What does it do? It would add it to the paging file. Nothing beyond it. Okay. So the whole point is the memory swaps and how do you do memory swappiness. This is something with respect to your, if you know about swapping, get into it. If you don't know about swapping, learn and get into it. ఓకే, తెలియకుండా దాని మీద ట్రైల్ చేయకండి, పెద్ద ఉపయోగం కూడా కనపడదు. Okay, if you don't know and try it, you will not be able to really find the advantage of it. But one important stuff is this memory, and memory is always asked in Docker because that is the difficult part. In Docker, the part that troubles you always is memory. You might have created a container where it is 512 MB, and suddenly you might see that that is not no longer enough. You might need 1 GB of RAM to it. So how do you do that? So that has to be taken care with this command. That has to be taken care while starting the container. Once the container is started, okay, this command doesn't come into play, because when will we apply run? Once the container has to be started or already started. If the container is already started, then we apply run. So these commands will not come into play after container has been started. So don't get me wrong over there. So container start అయ్యాక ఏమన్నా చేయగలమంటే ఎక్కడ నెత్తుకోవాలి? Docker start, because the start is the only thing which basically starts the stopped container. So if you want to see any kinds of commands with respect to what I can do on a stopped container, then go and refer the command which is docker stop or start. Let me see start. Are you seeing anything with respect to memory over here? Okay, whenever you are seeing experimental, whenever you are seeing those, don't get into that. Okay, those are the things which might get into next release, or if they are not good, they might not even get into Docker. Okay, so ఇక్కడ మెమరీకి సంబంధించి ఏమైనా కనబడుతుందా మీకు? So what is the basic moral here? Memory reservations have to be done while starting the container or running the really coming up across the container. Okay, so you can't increase the memory of the container once the container has started. The only thing which you can do is you can increase the swap if you know Linux, but swap memory is not real memory, so it will not behave the same. Swap memory మీరు ఎంతైనా పెట్టుకోండి, it will not behave exactly like a physical memory, right? So as on today, what is our statement? Docker containers memory can be set while running the container, which means creating the container. Once the container has been created, you cannot change it. Fixed to this definition. If there are any changes, we will be learning it through the next areas. Okay, let us see if clustering can do anything over it. Kubernetes gani, Compose gani ఏమన్నా చేయగలమేమో చూద్దాం. I will not be speaking about Compose, but I'll be speaking about stacks. So let us see if they can do anything about it. But as on today, our statement is clear, right? So రేపు మిమ్మల్ని ఇంటర్వ్యూలో అడిగితే ఏమని చెప్తారు? కుదురుద్దా కుదరదా? ఇంకో వారం ఆగండి, ఆ క్లస్టరింగ్ కూడా అయిపోద్ది కదా, అప్పుడు చెప్తానంటారా? లేదు. So basically as of now, and 90% that is the case. Okay, there are some crude ways of really doing it, but that's not, it might not work out to be one way. I have said you can increase the swap memory, but it will really not show you performance. Okay, it might show number, but that number is really not your RAM, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, fine. So now let us look at, okay, fine. How do we know how much current memory allocated to it? So in the application, okay, once you have into the Linux, how do you know that how much RAM is there? Okay, so in the container, what is that we are having? Linux kernel. So can't you use that command? Because we don't have any UI, guys. So frankly, we have only CLI, and with CLI, you will not be getting any visual retreat. So if you go to the enterprise versions of it, you might see the container, and this container is utilizing this much of memory and all of that. But we are using open source. We don't have that tools right now. Yeah. But is it not possible? Yes, it is possible. For that, you need to get into the clustering kind of a stuff. So you might need to get into a home page, and then it would show you, okay, you have 10 containers. Out of this 10 container, this container is this, and it would have that much visual stuff. But from CLI, this is what it is. Get into the Docker exec it. Okay, there is no need for exec it. Docker exec, okay, container name, and execute that command. But remember, the the command which you are telling might be present or might not be present in the container, because we have seen containers where even PS was not working. Yeah, so don't expect that command which you are telling will might work everywhere. So you have to take it case by case. Yeah, fine. We can't increase the memory of the container once it is started, not while it is running. So if you say while it is running, it means that if I shut down, I can increase it. So my statement is, you cannot increase the memory of the container once the container has been created. Before creating, you can give how much memory you want. Fine. Okay, fine. So one last thing which I want to basically look at is, okay, Docker. Okay, so shall I kill all of them? So how do I do that? Docker rm. Do I need to use -f? Why? Yeah, because the containers are running. If the containers were dead, there is no need of force. Okay, and now dollar. Okay, so now I want to run the Jenkins container in background mode. So Docker run -d detached -p 8080 colon 8080 Jenkins. Sorry, Jenkins. Okay, so I have shown you something called as exec. So what can exec do? Execute some command on the Docker container. Okay, but I don't want to do the execution of the command. I want to see how it is behaving. What is the command which we have run now? Docker execute the Docker container or create the Docker container in a detached mode. Okay, now Docker ps. Okay, and then I realize that this has to be run in foreground. Then what I can do is I can just say Docker attach. I think nothing is happening on that. So let us see. So what is this machine's IP address? Okay, it should start working, man. Yeah, I had done Control C, which has led to the killing of the container. I can't help it. So let me do it again. Docker start. Docker ps, man. I don't like this copy paste stuff. So Docker ps -a and Docker. Okay. So now let me get into this attach. See what this attaches. Okay. I want an example. Docker attach. Basically, this should happen. The moment you try to do that, basically what it would try to do is it would try to show what is happening on that machine. Okay. So I should have done it much earlier, but it's okay. Now nothing is happening on that machine, so it will not show anything. So attach is one way, but there is no need for attach. That was a very old way of doing it. You doing the things. So now you can execute simple commands. Docker exec is a better way, but still there is attach. What attach does is you have run in the detached mode, and now you again want to bind your terminal to Docker container. Okay, -d ఇవ్వకుండా రన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏం జరిగిందో పొరపాటున -d ఇచ్చేసి మళ్ళీ అలాగే జరగాలంటే అప్పుడు అటాచ్ వాడతాం. బట్ జనరల్లీ దట్ విల్ నెవర్ బి ద కేస్. సో అటాచ్ ఇస్ not a very useful command, but it is still there. Some people really use it. Okay, build anyway, we'll be going to that. Build, commit, and all of that, we'll be looking into this. Okay, so there are certain commands which are still required. Okay, but they would come in later. All of these commands will come in later at some other point. Okay, so just see this command. This command is something interesting. Now it has not only all, but it has filters. We have seen this, right? Docker ps, and we have been using this command basically a long time. And then if you want to see, there are some informations about it also, some more detailed output kind of a stuff. If you want to really display, then you can use these containers. Okay, and go through these command line options. It would not, you would find many more options, so it would not be possible for me to go into every command line and show you that this is the option that is present. Okay, I am trying to tell you the commands which are most widely used, which will be required for you to do any kind of work in Docker. But there are certain exceptions where you can achieve the same thing much easily if you go through this command line. And mark my words, this command line list is growing from the day one of the container. So there are some commands which no longer work. Okay, and there are some commands which basically increase. So for example, we didn't had even a single command for CPU when we started Docker, but now you are seeing CPU commands also. That is for Windows, but slowly it might turn up to Linux also. Okay, so that's the whole point. Fine. Now today what we would do is, okay, I'm using the containers, wonderful. So somehow I don't like this approach. Okay, what does it take for me to write my own image? What does it take for me to create my own image? Okay, shall we focus on that? Okay, today I'll be just introducing you this concept. Okay, but we'll be having a deeper dive, okay, in the next classes also, because while writing these containers we'll be learning many things. We will be learning how that mount is happening. We need to discuss about storage drivers. Okay, we might need to learn about many things. Okay, so fine. So if you have to create a Docker container, Docker image on your own, okay, you cannot start from zero. నేను డాకర్ ఇమేజ్ ని బిల్డ్ చేయాలంటే మొత్తం 0 నుండి మొదలు పెడతాను. నాట్ హ్యాపెనింగ్. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్. యూ హ్యావ్ టు చూస్ వన్ బేస్ ఇమేజ్. You have to choose one base image. Okay, and then you might basically do whatever you want to do with respect to image creation. So what is the first activity? First is choose the right Docker image as base. Okay, and then okay, identify, okay, identify the commands to be executed for your container, for your image. For example, if I want to build a Tomcat image, so I should know what is the delta which I need to do. So for example, if I have taken my base image as Ubuntu, and in the Ubuntu, if I have to make that Ubuntu as a Tomcat, what is that I need to do? I need to install Tomcat on Ubuntu. So for that, I need to know what are the commands. Okay, that is the second thing. And the third thing which you need to know is what should be your, this is very important, because if your start command is like echo, what will happen? Your container will start, print the output, kill itself. Okay, so what should be your start? These are the three important things. Okay, three simple but yet very important things. Whenever you are writing your image, this is a major features which will take. What is going to be my base image? and to make my application work or create an image out of that application or of the existing image, what is the delta commands which I need to do? Okay, and okay, what should be my start command? Okay, then does my application uses ports? Okay, does my application needs if you have answers for all of these 5 questions, writing any complicated container is a cakewalk. మీకు ఈ 5 తెలిసే చాలు, rest of it is very simple. Okay, so these 5 things we will represent in a file which I am going to call it as a Docker. Okay, I will not even get into syntax, but I will show you some example, then you will be able to make out. See these 5 questions correctly. What is going to be my base image? What are the different things which I need to do on top of this base image to make my application? Okay, does my application use some ports? Does my application uses some volumes? And one last thing over here is, does it require some environment variables? That is the least activity. I'll take. I didn't want it to make that point, but it's okay, fine. So shall we see one image or one Docker file of the image which we have been using? Yes, so we have taken Jenkins, right? Yeah, so let me go to the Docker hub. We have taken our image from here itself, right? I'll try to open the image of every container which we have used. Okay, and let us try to identify how does the Docker file looks like. Jenkins. Fortunately, if you go over here, you would find a Docker file link over here itself. I'll try to open it in a different tab. What is the first line? What does it start from? From. They call that from as instruction. So in the from, they define what is their base image. He is trying to tell that to make this container, I am using a base image which is OpenJDK, and colon means what we know that it is a version of your image. So Jenkins image is built on top of an image which is called as OpenJDK colon 8-JDK. Okay, these are the arguments. So forget about arguments. Leave about the areas which we don't understand. Run. Run is the step which needs to be done on top of OpenJDK to make it Jenkins. Any run statement which you are seeing over there, it means that is our second line. So this is what? From. Okay, this is what? Run. Now apply your learnings to it. Environment variables is env, so let us not worry about env. So is run making sense? So you might have many run statements. Okay, so copy, we don't know it, forget about it. I'll be explaining it at the later point of time. Okay, are you seeing run? So there is something called as expose. Expose is about ports. Okay, any port which you want to, basically if your application is using 8080, so then in this image you would be writing an instruction which is called as expose. Okay, so and then you see something called as entry point. Okay, and we have also seen an instruction called as volume. Okay, so now shall I take a simpler image? Shall I take HTTPD? So the best part of Docker images are you can go through any Docker image and find out what they have done. Okay, మనకి చాలా మంది నాకు కంప్లైంట్ చేసేది ఏంటంటే, సార్ నాకు జెన్కిన్స్ ఇన్స్టలేషన్ ఫెయిల్ అవుతుందండి. జెన్కిన్స్ ఇన్స్టలేషన్ స్టెప్పులు ఫెయిల్ అవుతుంటే దాంట్లో బంగారంలా రాశాడు, ఏం చేయాలి? Okay. So from now, if your installations are failing, go into Docker file, see what is that they are doing with respect to run, copy paste that in your shell script and it would work. That's a easy hack for you to install any software. I want Artifactory. Artifactory is not installing for me. Go to the Docker file, see what is his base image and execute the same instructions. Okay. So when Bhaskar's installation go wrong, I tell him the same thing because he knows about this file. Even if you start knowing about this file, if your installations are going wrong, just go to the Docker file, see the instructions, how they have run it, run the Docker container, see whether it is working or not, and do it same on your physical machine. It would also work. So, make sense? Right. So, let me use HTTPD. Come on. Yeah. Any Docker file. I'm not really worried about a particular version of it. So, what is the first statement? He has built this image which is based out of some image which is called as Debian. And the version of that is Jessie backports. Okay. And then what is the run? Yeah, he's executing some statements. Okay. Yeah, it might be a complicated installation. That's a secondary story. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. So these are all the run statements. What makes it? Okay. And then we have something. We don't have an entry point over here. We have something called as CMD. Okay. By the way, start command is combination of entry point and CMD. We'll be learning that. But now do we have a relation? Okay. I think it is not shown correctly over here. Our first point, which was speaking about choosing a right image, is basically done by an instruction called as from. Okay. And the next thing is I want to identify basically the commands which you want to use in your installation. So I'll be using something called as run. And then I would choose what is my start command. So I'll be using the combination of entry point and CMD. Okay. And if my application is using some ports, I might be using something called as expose. Okay. And basically if my application needs some volumes, I'd be using something called as volumes. Just by using this, let me write a very simple Docker file, and let us see how it will look like. Okay. I'm writing it in a notepad, and then I would show you the rest of the stuff. So from Ubuntu. So what is my base image? So don't worry about sudo over here. Any runs instruction which you are running or writing over here will be executed with sudo. Okay. Apt-get update and apt-get install Apache 2. But remember, whenever you are writing any instructions, okay, you should not reach a point where that instruction will ask you for any input. అంటే మీరు ఈ కమాండ్ రాశారు, this command is basically will give you something like, do you want me to proceed, yes or no? The moment that comes, Docker will identify that there is something wrong and your image building will be stopped. You cannot create an image. So if you do apt-get install Apache 2, the same thing happens. So I'm giving, okay. And then basically what is the next thing? Expose. I'll be exposing port 80 because I'm trying to build a HTTPD container. Okay. And now CMD command, and command basically I'll write it in JSON kind of a format or array kind of a format. Okay, where I would be telling, because I don't know what is a command to run and I want this command container to run for ever, so I would be doing ping. This is a very horrible thing, you should never do this, but yeah, it's okay, it's our first container, it can be wrong. Google.com. That's it. So this is a container, this is an image which basically helps you to have an Apache container. So what is my container based on? From. So are you seeing any programming over here? No. But unfortunately, people try to get it wrong by thinking that to write this you need Python. Okay. To write this automatically, you might need programming language. మనం ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఆ స్థాయికి వెళ్ళాం మనం. ఫస్ట్ ఇది వస్తే ఆ తర్వాత అది. ఓకే. సో for working on Docker, you don't need any programming language. The only thing which you should know is how to make your application work and what does your application take to get started, and how can you basically start your application, what are the different configuration directories, all of that steps you would be writing in this. Okay. So shall I use the same script and shall we check whether this container will be up or it will be down? Yes. Okay. Now let me go over here. If the session is still active, yes. So I'll create a folder, make dir test, because test already exists. Make dir trail. So I'll get into trail, and I will be creating a file which is called as Docker file. Okay. When the Docker started, this was a requirement for your image to have this name, but now it is not a requirement. You can use any name, but it is a convention now. You would see all the people using the same name, but now it is not mandatory, but still people use the same thing. Okay. But when Docker started, when it was in early stages, it was mandatory for an image to have the same file name. So Docker file. Now what is that I have said? From 1 to. Okay. Our image has many problems. I'll come back to that, but for first image all of these problems are accepted. It's okay. So run apt-get update and apt-get install Apache 2. Okay. Expose 80. Okay. And cmd. Okay. I'll be making it much simpler, because I'm not sure whether the ping is there or not, and I don't want my container to be showing errors. I'll be saying echo hello. Okay. Pardon me. Yeah, -y. Yes. Thanks. So I have to get install Apache 2 -y. Okay. My container might not be long-lived container, because I don't know what has to be run on the startup, but that's okay. We'll resolve it later. Okay. Now it's a Docker. Okay. I want to basically, I have a file, and from this file, what is that I want? Container or image? Image. So I have to build for image. So Docker build, and -t will tell you what is that you want to call this image tag. So I'm going to tell that my first trail. Okay. I'm not given any version because I'm new to this world. I'm not giving any version. Okay. And then I'm telling that my Docker file is present over here in the current directory. So Docker build -t, the name which you want to give, and where your Docker file is. So my Docker file, since it is present in the same directory, I'm giving it as dot. Okay. If the image is built successfully, Docker images should show this my trails, my first trail, or whatever the name which I have given. While building the image, it will try to execute all the instructions which you have written. Okay. So that's why, if you remember, one of you have asked me this question, sir, container was trying to tell that it was created 3 seconds, but now image was telling that it has created 3 weeks ago. How is it possible? Because it will record this time. First time whenever you have built your image, the image will be showing this time. Now let me show Docker. Are you seeing 23 seconds ago now? Because it will show the build time of your Docker image. Yeah. So what is my image's name now? Yeah. So Docker run. I want to get into the container, because I know that if I get into the container, I'm in the safest position, because echo hello world will print immediately and it will die. I don't want that to happen. So minus it, the name of my image, okay, and also I have to give port mapping, right? Minus p, at is mapped to at port of this container, and I want to do slash bin slash bash. The same thing which I have done, but the only difference is this time my image. It is not the image from Docker Hub. Yeah. Now let me see if the AT is working. Port 80 HTTP, if I give it is port 80, so there is no need for it. Let us see. Service Apache 2. Service was not started. So our run should also have, or our CMD should at least have something which relates to this service start. But am I seeing the image? It might be faulty. It might not be as good as what the images which I have used right now. But to write this, did I needed in very much expert kind of a knowledge? No, I have used very simple instructions from run, expose, CMD. With this, you can try anything. Okay, your containers might be patchy when we start, but when we learn one concept after another concept, then you would come to know everything's meaning. Okay, so don't get wrong, get wrong in the essence saying that for writing these containers you need a programming language. That's all crap. It's not required. Fine. Yeah. Okay, good. So now any questions on this before I get into the next one? Are Docker file compatible with Docker file is nothing, it is a text file. It is compatible with Docker. It doesn't need a compatibility of an operating system. Docker file ni mana run chesedi ఏ command తో docker build అన్న command తో run చేస్తున్నాం. Okay, if it is compatible with Docker, that is enough. There is no need for it to be compatible to any other operating system. Okay, if Docker whatever you have installed on your system is able to understand your Docker file, that is more than enough. How it will execute on Windows, how it executes on Mac, how it executes on Linux is Docker's installation headache, not ours. Okay, మీరు డాకర్ ఫైల్ రాసి విండోస్ లో బిల్డ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, లినక్స్ లో బిల్డ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, because what you are trying to tell is you are trying to tell your base image. So what will happen when you try to build is whenever you say from Ubuntu, so Docker will try to create a container which has Ubuntu, and then you have said run statements. All of your run statements will be executed inside that container. Okay, and then port mapping, so to try to tell what are your port rules in that, and for whatever work that has been done, it will ship into a format of an image. It would compress into a format of an image, and that image is basically used by you and me. That's it. Okay, so that's why when we use Docker images, we get size also. Okay, so it's like build, execute, and run. Absolutely. Yeah. Where can I get base image? Is it from Docker Hub? Yes, absolutely, it is from Docker Hub. Okay, I've taken a base image called as Ubuntu, which is from Docker Hub itself. Okay, any extension? No, there is no need for any extension, but even if you put it, nothing will happen. But the whole point is it is better to use the Docker files without extension. Okay, try to write, or 99% of your cases, try to give the file name also the same as Docker file. Don't go deviate yourself from this, because there is no need for you to write any documentation if you have written the definition of a Docker in Docker file. Okay, ఎందుకంటే డాకర్ ఫైల్లోనే ఉంటుందని అందరి అభిప్రాయం. డాకర్ ఫైల్లో రాయకపోతే ఎక్స్ప్లిసిట్ గా చెప్పాలి, రాస్తే చెప్పనవసరం అవసరం. That's the whole point. Base image can be Windows if you are building Windows containers. Okay, so the way Windows containers work are slightly different, so let us put that till the last. So as of now, my focus is just on Linux containers. Windows containers you cannot build on Linux. Okay, there are some restrictions over there. Okay, so there was some question. File delete చేసిన ఇమేజ్ ఉంటుంది. అవును, ఇమేజ్ ఉంటుంది. ఓకేనా, ఇమేజ్ కి ఒకసారి ఆ ఫైల్ నుండి ఇమేజ్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తారు, ఇమేజ్ స్టోర్ అయిపోయింది. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు ఫైల్ డిలీట్ చేసినా ఆ ఇమేజ్ ఉంటుంది. Until unless you delete that image is still there. Yeah, that file is required only when you are executing that command docker build -t. Once that command has been successful, then there is no need for it. Okay, so is this with the issue of Windows 7? No, Windows 7 you can't build Windows containers, by the way. To build Windows containers you have to be in server 2016 or Windows 10. Yeah, pardon me. Image prastutaniki I'll show the inspect, but the whole point as of now is you can assume that it is somewhere in var lib docker folder. Okay, for exact things I will show you a way where there is no need for you to remember any command line arguments. అంటే పాతలు గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేకుండా చెప్పొచ్చు, because var lib docker is an assumption for Ubuntu, but if you go into open source that might change. So how can I find the places where the images are there? For that we will be learning a command called as docker inspect. అప్పుడు వస్తాయి. Okay, okay, this is a good question. Basically the work which I have done is present in my local store. Okay, and I want to send it to the docker hub. It is not present in docker hub for others to use. Okay, so because it recognize illa, how will, if you have said docker run my first trails, so what would be the first question which docker asks? Is the image present in my local store? Was the image present after build? That's it. If it was not present, then it will go to the docker hub. Okay, let me tell you one thing. The process కొంచెం ఇలాగ ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, నాకు డబ్బులు కావాలి, నేను బ్లైండ్గా ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఇంట్లో ఉన్న డబ్బాలు ఎత్తుకుతాను, దొరికితే తీసేసుకొని వాడుకుంటాను, లేదనుకుంటే బ్యాంక్కి వెళ్తాం. Let us assume this is a process. Okay, I want 500 rupees. Someone had done something and there is 500 rupees in that box. Okay, so what is my process? My process is pretty much straightforward. I see in that box whether there are 500 bucks. Yes, I will not go to the repository. The repository comes into play when amount is not in the box. In the same way, repository comes into the play when your image is not present in your local store. Whenever you are doing docker build process, docker build doesn't take you to repository, it will go to the local image store. Since it is in the local image store, there is no necessity for a repository over here. The next question which you have to ask is, I have built in my local machine, how to make it available to others? So then we'll be exploring to bring the docker image from docker hub. What was the command? Docker pull. So we'll be exactly doing the opposite after some time, which is push. So then this image will be available to the external world. For that you need to have an account and all of that. Okay, fine, absolutely you can. So for that the only thing which you require is you need to have a credentials of a docker hub. So go into docker hub and create an account. You and everyone can create an account. Go and create an account. Okay, and just do docker push. Okay, it would ask you to log in, enter with your credentials, then you can push it. Okay, but I want you to show in a sequential flow. Okay, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. What is the command? Docker push is a command. Yeah, fine. If the image required in docker hub, where can we get? There is no get there, docker fails. Okay, for example, if I run something called as docker run my first trail in your system, local store not present, docker hub not present, so it would just say that I couldn't find this image, please check with the right image whether you have spelled it incorrectly or not. You will just get an error message. Okay, so it would check it only at two locations, one local registry, local store, and configured registry. Since we have not configured any registry, it is going to docker hub. Yeah? Okay, base image has to be from your registry, right? Otherwise అది బిల్డ్ అవ్వదు. బేస్ ఇమేజ్ దొరకకపోతే అసలు మీ ఇమేజ్ బిల్డ్ అవ్వదు. So for example, in base image I have written a typo, so my image building itself will be failed. So there is no chance of your image without base image. Okay, if I did not expose 80 in docker 8080 at the time of run, if you give -p, yeah, it would still work. The reason why you give -p expose 80 is for the person who is running docker PS on your container, it would show an external information saying that this container exposes port 80. That is for metadata information. Expose చేయకపోతే 80 ని మ్యాప్ చేయలేనా చేయొచ్చు, because in that case you are forcibly mapping. But if you write expose statement, you are telling to the external world saying that I am building an application which uses port 80. So expose is a better practice. Since it is a best practice, I am trying to bring in from the day one. That's it. That's the only point. Okay. How can I pick my customized? As I said that, right? No customization over here. You have to choose only from the images that are accessible to you. Okay. Base image is something from your registry. డాకర్ హబ్ లో అంటే మన విషయం మాట్లాడుకుంటే డాకర్ హబ్ లో ఏ ఇమేజ్ అయినా బేస్ ఇమేజ్ కింద తీసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, నాకేదో కొత్తగా కావాలంటే ఉన్నదేదో తీసుకొని బిల్డ్ చేసుకుంటే తప్ప వేరే అవకాశం లేదు. there are some bad practices over here. I am not going to cover that. Okay, there are some bad practices over there. What are those bad practices are? You can go into the Docker, take some image, do all the manual work, and from that you can create an image. Okay, some of the people call it a feature. Unfortunately, that is not a feature, because imagine that అలా బిల్డ్ చేసి వర్షన్ 1 బిల్డ్ చేశారండి, మళ్ళీ అలాగే మాన్యువల్ గా వర్క్ చేసి వర్షన్ 2 బిల్డ్ చేశారు. After some time your images are lost, you want to rebuild. What will you do? In my case, what will I do if I write a Docker file? I write a Docker file, I put it in a version control system. Okay, tomorrow whenever I am modifying, a new version gets into that. So anytime I can reproduce any environment. But if you go into the Docker, do manual steps, create a container out of it, it's unfortunately horrible process. ఎప్పుడు చేయకూడదు. Okay, చేస్తే ఇబ్బంది ఏంటి, వర్క్ అవుద్ది కదండి. Yeah, it will work, but whenever you want to repeat the same environment or reproduce the same environment, you will not be in a position to do it. Okay, so don't bring in any manual stuff. The manual stuff for us is only to write the Docker file. Are we good? Yes. Okay, fine. Yes. Hmm. It's not that. I'm just trying to tell that Docker exec-it, and I want to run a bash prompt. And where will bash prompt be? That's the location. That's it. So whatever you are executing, you are telling its location. That's it. Full location. That's it. That's why you use bin bash. Tomorrow, if you want to use ZSH, you might give bin/ZSH. Okay. I want to run a terminal which is located at that location. That's it. It's just an executable path in the container. Executable path in the container. Okay, good. Yes. Fine. We will take it forward. Okay. From the we will take it forward with respect to writing these images and all of that stuff in the next classes. Okay. But okay. Now, whatever I have written over here from run all of this. By the way, the technical name which Docker calls these things are Docker file instructions. So if you want to search Google for these kind of things, you should know these names so that it would be easy. Okay, there are many instructions. I have not told you about a copy. I have not told you about many other things. But yeah, so if you want to search all the possible stuff which I can do in Docker image building, then search for this statement which is called as Docker file instructions, and we will be doing that one after the other. But is Docker building image now looks like difficult or a simple thing? And the best part is most of the images which you are seeing in Docker Hub, you can read it and understand it. Okay, that's the whole point. Fine. Now, okay. So how about the full installations? Will you guys do it for yourself? Linux రానోళ్ళు ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు క్లాస్లో? మీరు ఎత్తకూడదు సార్. ఇంకా లినక్స్ క్లాస్ జరుగుతుందిగా, లాస్ట్ జరిగినప్పుడు జాయిన్ అవ్వలేదా? అవలేదా? మిగతా వాళ్ళు చేతులు సారీ ఫర్ దట్. యా, సో okay, what I would do is for you guys, okay, try it out by following the instructions. Okay, and let it fail. I'm okay even if it fails, because we know the simple part, right? Simple part I have shown you in the class. Curl, and there was some instruction, get docker.sh and run, you will get a Docker. So I'm not worried about that. So I want you to try a full installation on Ubuntu machine or Red Hat machine of your choice. Okay, so for that I want you to look into this documentation and try, let it fail, and I want you to come up with where you have failed rather than me showing everything. Try, let us try. Okay, what we will do in that case is, okay, basically I will record all of that steps in the video format, and I'll share it with you, because I don't want to bring in that installation times into this. So that is something which I want to bring in into DevOps from now on. Okay, in the DevOps class I don't want to show the installations. Okay, for all of those installations we'll be putting videos, and if you just follow the videos, it would be ready, and I will be working on already installed images so that we can cover more topics. లేదంటే ఇన్స్టలేషన్ ఒక రోజు పడుతుందండి, ఒక క్లాస్ పోతుంది. 2 hours of time we lose in installation. If I can save that time, I can discuss about stacks. I can discuss about Docker Compose, or I can discuss about something new. So is that okay with all of you, or does someone have any problem with that? Okay, so installation videos is okay kada? Okay, for installing any sort from now on. Okay, if the installation is very simple like Ansible, I might do it in the class, because Ansible is a very simple installation. But when it comes to installation which might take some time, okay, which has many flavors to it, I will try to record those videos, or if there are already videos, I'll share with those links, and I want you to follow that, because we can save some time. Okay, that is the first thing. Okay, and the next thing which I want to discuss is uh, is it okay if I move these classes into the morning from next week? DevOps and AWS classes will be on Saturday and Sunday also in the morning itself. Okay, majority, if it is okay, I'll do it from next week itself. Okay, so throughout the week we have the same timings. Okay, అప్పుడప్పుడు ఏమైనా అరగంట కావాలంటే సర్దుకుందాం, ఎందుకంటే రెండు చెప్పేది నేనే కాబట్టి. Okay, so from 7 to 10 let us have our DevOps classes from next week in the morning itself, right? The whole point is some of the people, for people in the US it is becoming too much horrible now. Daylight time has changed, and for people in some time zones, if they have to attend this session, they have to wake up at 4:30, and 4:30 is a horrible time. And at least our time ఏంటంటే రోజు అలవాటైన టైం కాబట్టి it's okay. I'm not saying even that time is exactly reasonable, especially when it comes to cloud, but that's better than this time. Fine. So from next week onwards, all of our DevOps classes are the same time throughout the week. Okay, 7 to 8:30 and or 8:30 to 10. Let us have this stuff. And during these times, I'll be taking my blockchain classes, because for blockchain it's okay. There are few people and I can manage them. Okay, but when it comes to here, for the people over here, it is becoming late. It is becoming 9, and for the people in the US also, it is becoming too much early. Fine. So that is one stuff. And the next stuff, as I said, the installations I will try to put in videos, and these videos will be shared to you, and I want you to follow the videos, right? Okay, these two things. And the last thing, okay, which I usually speak and I don't see any turn up, the projects. Okay, it has become like a friend's tour plan. టూర్ ప్లాన్ మొదలెట్టినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ రోజున బస్సు మాట్లాడుకోవాలా లారీ మాట్లాడుకోవాలా అర్థం అవదు. ఓకే, ఆఖరిన ఓ ఇద్దరు విమానంలో వెళ్ళొస్తారు, లేదంటే బండి మీద వెళ్ళొస్తారు. ఓకే, ద సేమ్ థింగ్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ విత్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్. వెన్ ఐ స్పీక్ అబౌట్ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్, నెక్స్ట్ డే భాస్కర్ విల్ బి టార్చర్డ్ సేయింగ్ దట్ ఏంటి లింక్ ఏది, పేర్లు ఇచ్చాం మెయిల్ రాలేదు. ఓకే, and after 1 week if I ask Bhaskar what is the status, what are the projects and what are the teams, and ఆ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో ఒక్కతనే రెస్పాండ్ అవుతున్నాడు సార్. ఓకే, సో it is your way of looking at it. Okay, so ప్రాజెక్ట్ కి పేర్లు ఇచ్చేటప్పుడు కొంతమంది, ఇప్పుడు ఎలక్షన్ టైం కదా, లెట్ మీ గివ్ అన్ ఎలక్షన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ఓకే, సో బేసికలీ వాట్ దే డూ ఇస్, ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐఎమ్ ఇన్ అ విలేజ్ and let us assume that I can influence 500 votes. ఎలక్షన్లో కంటెస్ట్ చేయాలన్న ఉద్దేశం నాకు ఉండదు, అయినా వెళ్ళి ఒక ఇండిపెండెంట్ కింద వేస్తాను. The whole point is some TDP or YSRCP or someone will come to me and say that why do you want to contest, let us give you something, okay, please drop off. 500 ఓట్లకి ఎంతో కొంత రేటు. సో నాకు సంవత్సరం పని అవుతుంది నాకు. ఓకే, సో ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ డూ దిస్. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు డూ ద ప్రాజెక్ట్ గెట్ ఇన్ టు ఇట్. ఓకే, చేద్దాం అనుకుంటా వద్దు, చేద్దాం అనుకుంటే కాదు, చేస్తాను అని నమ్మకం ఉంటేనే చేయను, లేదంటే వద్దు. బికాస్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ ఓన్లీ స్పాయిలింగ్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్, యు ఆర్ స్పాయిలింగ్ అదర్స్, రైట్? ఓకే, ఆ షీట్లు మార్చి మార్చి భాస్కర్ చిరాకు వచ్చింది, ప్రాజెక్ట్ అనగానే నాకు అదో రకం ఎందుకు సార్ ఇవన్నీ నన్ను. ఓకే, బట్ the problem with project with myself doing it is if I do the project it will be of zero benefit to you. Okay, even if I put the instructions that would be of zero benefit to you. It would be like doing a physics lab or a chemistry lab in a Chaitanya college or Narayana college. What will be there? రెండు నీళ్లు కలపండి, ఎర్ర రంగు వస్తుంది, ఎర్ర రంగు రాగానే అది వేసేయండి, నల్లగా అయిపోద్ది, అంతే, అయిపోయింది ల్యాబ్. అది ఎందుకు అయ్యింది ఏంటి మనకు అనవసరం. Okay, so I don't want this type of practice to be happening. Okay, that's the only reason. Okay, fine. So let me see the responses. For us, we don't have quality thought ID to register for projects. You don't need ID, you just write your mobile number there. So you can cheat web forms very easily. That too, that is a Google form. Okay, you write your mobile number there, or you write your numbers ఏ తీసుకుంటుందా, మన ఐడి కూడా numbers కాదు కదా. You can put anything over there, but ensure you give a right email ID so that this guy can reach you. Yeah, okay. Please continue in the evenings on weekends. Unfortunately, it is a democratic nation, and most of the people have basically been okay with the daytime. Okay, yeah. Please continue in the evening. Yeah, I can understand. For some of you people I know who work in shifts, it would be a problem. But as I said, what I can do at least is, since you are working already on the online, you should not have a problem. You can get the recording, but for the people over here, since you get a link, I don't think so it should be a great deal for you to really listen to the classes, even if you can't attend, at least for some time. I can make that arrangement. Okay, yeah, it would be better, but some of our friends are feeling the pain. For them, I have spoken to many people, and they have said that 4:30 in the morning you have to wake up. Assume if I put the DevOps class 4:30 in the morning, రేపు పొద్దున్న 4:30 క్లాస్ పెడితే మీరు ఎంతమంది వస్తారు? That's the problem. So that's why I had to adjust it. Okay, even I like in the mornings, even I like in the evenings. It is easy for me. That's the whole point why I have shifted in the evenings. Okay, తిట్టుకుంటున్నారా? ఇది వాళ్ళు చెప్తారండి సార్ ఆపేసిన తర్వాత. అది యా, థ్యాంక్స్, అట్లీస్ట్ ఎప్పటికైనా చెప్పారు. Okay, can online students attend some offline classes if you visit there? Absolutely you can. Yeah, there is no problem about that. Okay, so ఇంకెవరన్నా ఇళ్లలో తిట్టుకుంటుంటే చెప్పండి. Okay then, so I will not start any new topic. I'll stop it at that. Okay, and tomorrow we will not have a class. Okay, because of Ugadi and ఉగాది ఆదివారం పెడితే ఇంక తిట్టుకుంటూ కొడతారేమో అయితే. Okay, fine. So we'll meet on Monday, and we would discuss further on Docker file, storage drivers, and then we will get into the other aspects of Docker. Okay, fine. Please share your Docker book link. Yeah, I'll tell Satish to do it immediately. Yeah, thanks guys, thanks for your time.